the same kind of grandmother I had. Come on, go ahead in here. You're my leaning pole. She got older. She said, you're my walking cane. You are. Anybody in here? Thank you, God. Hallelujah. Yeah. You're my peace. You're my sanity when I'm praising God. Thank you, God. You know, I know you got your own adjective for God. I know you have your own adjective for God. You ought to get up this morning and just give God some praise. Throw your hand in the air and just shout, you are. Yeah. Yeah, God. Yeah. Thank you, God. You're my company keeper when I'm lonely. You are. Thank you, God. Hallelujah. We bless your name and give you praise in this place. Magnify you, God. Thank you for your goodness and your worthiness, God. We thank you, God, for being God all by yourself. Thank you, God, that you have been our open door, our way maker. You've been the one that has kept us, God. Kept us, God, from danger seen and unseen, God. It's been your amazing grace that brought us this far, God, and we're depending on that same amazing grace to lead us on, God. So we come to bless you and praise you this morning. We come to magnify your name. Thank you, God, for your grace, God, that you poured all over us, God, all week long in ways we cannot measure, in ways that people don't know, God, how good you really been to us and how you brought us out, God, how you kept us from our own self sometime, God, and kept us from others, God, that didn't have our self-interest in mind. We want to thank you, God, and give you praise in this place, God. Magnify your name, God. Thank you, God, and give you glory, God. If it had not been for you on our side, we really don't know how we would have made it, God. We thank you, God. You've been the common denominator in all of our situation, God. It's been your life, God, your cross, God. Yeah, your son, God, your blood, God. Thank you this morning as we give you praise and magnify your name, God. And we pray for the sick and those, God, that's been touched by the virus, God. We know you still the healer, God, of that which is uncurable and that which is unknown. We know, God, that you're able, God, to quarantine and bring them out. You know, God, that you can heal what doctors cannot heal. We know, God, that you, God, has an answer where the doctor has no answer, God. We know, God, that you have a cure, God, when man don't have one, God. We know, God, that you can fix, God, what nobody else can fix, God. And that's why we call on you this morning. And that's why we shout in this place, you are God. You are the I am. You are what we need. You are God. And we come to bless your name in this place and give you praise, God, and shout glory. God, have thine own way, God, because thou art the potter, God, and we are the clay, God. Make us and mold us, God, exactly the way you want us to be, that we may walk in your will and walk in your way. We bless you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Hallelujah. Let's give God some praise in the house. Go ahead, clap your hands, stomp your feet, do your dance in this place. Amen. You better praise God. Hey, hey, hey. You know what life look like. Look in the mirror and you'll see. You know what living look like. Look in the mirror, you'll see. You know what survival look like. Look in the mirror, you'll see. You know what goodness look like. Look in the mirror, you'll see. You know what it's like to know, recognize that millions didn't make it, but you one of the ones that did. You know, as they do the countdown, and as we told the worldwide meeting reach in terms of at least almost slave word when you say yes, sir. You know, and I told her the other day, I said, say sir and not sir. But when I get to my master, I just want y'all to know, for me, it's the only one I'm going to say it to, and I guarantee you that. Yes, sir. Yeah. You can be master all you want to be. You the only one. I put a you in sir for, because it's you, oh Lord, that made me what I am today. Yeah, all that I am, you can send a blessing my way. You better act like you know how to praise God. You better act like you know who. Some of us in here too old not to give God some praise. Woo, God. Some of us in here been too broke and broken not to give him too praise. Some of us in here been too crazy and unwise not to give him some praise. Woo, God. Some of us in here, yeah, you've been out of line too much not to give him some praise. And you know the only thing that got you was grace, and the only thing that is keeping you is mercy, and the only thing that's controlling your circumstances still got you here on the side of the living. You've been counted out, and death looked for you a long time ago, but he couldn't find you. And when he found you, he found the hedge of protection around you. Ooh, God. And if he touch you, God say, touch him and watch where I raise him. Just to prove to you, you ain't deaf, you ain't nothing. Yeah. Hallelujah. Let's give God some praise in this house. Let's give God some praise. You ought to be giving God some praise. Safe in his arms, amen. Bless the Lord and my shepherd. Can't say, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in the meadows, and he leads me beside the quiet stream. He restores my failing health and helps me do what honors him the most. That's why I'm saved. That's why I'm saved. Saved in his arms. I wish I had a singer. I would go, because the Lord is my song. I have everything I need. He lets me rest in the meadows, and he leads me beside the quiet stream. He restores my failing health and help me do what I him the most. That's why I'm saved. That's why I'm saved. Saved in his arms. Thank you, God. And the storms keep on raging in my life. And sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day. But let it still is a hope that lies within, that keeps my eyes unto that distant shore. I know I shall flee place that he has prepared. I've been trying to get to the, but if the storms don't cease, and just in case the wind keeps on blowing in my life, my soul has been anchored in the Lord. Thank you, God. Give us clarity and understanding, that we may hear and understand and comprehend your word. The grass withered and the flower faded, but thy word shall stand forever. In 1 Samuel chapter 24, the first 4 verses, you'll find these words for our reading and for our conversation today. And it came to pass, when Saul was returned from following the Philistines, that it was told him, saying, behold, David is in the wilderness of Aegean. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. And he came to a sheepcotes by the way, where was a cave, and Saul went in to cover his feet, and David and his men remained in the side of the cave. And the men of David said unto him, behold, the day which the Lord said unto thee, behold, I will deliver thine enemy into thine hands, that thou mayest do to him as it seems good unto thee. Then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privately. I'm going to hang my hat right there and talk about along came a spider.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As we have this conversation, that there's another detail that is added to the story that is told, and I checked out the sources to find them to be reliable and truthful. In terms of, in the Jewish Bible, they tell the same story. Matter of fact, the same passages of scripture, but they add some details that we may not have in our Christian Bible. In the Jewish Bible, they said actually when David and his men go into this cave, they're actually running from Saul. And as they're running from Saul, Saul is actually in pursuit of them. And David and his men duck into this cave. And God sends a spider to close the whole of the cave with his web. It says that when Saul and his men approach the cave where David and his men are in, that God has closed it up with a web, and Saul and his men say, well, it can't be in there because there's a web that is covering this hole. No one is entered in. Let's not waste our time. Let's keep looking for David elsewhere. They move and go on, but the problem is that Saul stops. The text says to pretty much to relieve himself. One gives in terms of he's laying down asleep, that David actually cuts off the skirt of his garment. And then when Saul walks away and leaves, it is David who weeps and cries because he's touched the anointed of God. And he tells Saul and let him inform him and ask him, why is it that you pursue me like you do? And he shows Saul that I could have killed you.
That's right.
But I let you make it because you're God's anointed.
That's right.
Jesus.
And you're my king. And because Saul, I don't have no problem with you. That as the story comes, that when we talk about how God would take a spider, something that's small and minute, as a spider, it's Solomon who says that there are 4 creatures or insects that God has made, that though they are small, yet they do, and they're in great places.
Yes, sir.
And one of the insects that he mentioned is the spider. The spider is small, but it has a way of doing great and stopping great enemies.
Yes.
And Morgan Freeman thriller, detective thriller of Along Came Spider, is a detective and also investigator, criminal investigator who's trying to figure out who's killed one Morgan Freeman partner, but also who has kidnapped one of the senator's daughters, have gotten her, hid her away, and they're trying to find her before he kills her. And they go through all these scenarios and things like that, and they label the movie Along Come a King Spider. It made me look and wonder, what is it about the spider that is so fascinating? One thing that I've discovered about the spider is that it's kind of unnoticed, undetected, and unacknowledged. No one really looks for a spider. You don't walk in a room looking for spiders. He's undetected. The reason why he's undetected, because you're not really got your mind. You come visit family, friends, and other folk, but you ain't looking for spiders. Maybe somebody who has a phobia. But the spider got some spider senses about itself. That it stays in the background. Deacon Cal, happy birthday. He stays in the background, unnoticed, unacknowledged, but yet he doesn't interfere with the normal activities of life, even though he's present. Spider has a way that as you and I go about our day-to-day activities of living life and going about life, that some every now and then he makes his presence felt. Even though we don't see him, we run into webs that is connected to him. Spider has a way that when his enemy approaches or attacks, being to the point where he's recluse, he's not an aggressive attacker. He normally sits back and dispositions himself as if he's not an attacker or he's an aggressor. He allows you to come to him. And when you attack him, is normally when you run into the webs of his tenderness that get you caught up and distracted. So he can either get away or that he can jump on you and bite you because you can't find him because you're so busy dealing with his web. You've given him the opportunity to launch his attack. The spider has a way of being a protector. Many of us in here don't know that the spider protects us. But about 5 or 6 months ago, I was in my house and moved a piece of furniture, and there a spider come running out. I was so fascinated that a spider that size was in my house that I decided to catch the spider. And just being the natural shepherd I am and caregiver I am, I wanted to know, how do you take care of the spider? So I Googled, how do you take care of a spider? They say you feed them a roach, you feed them mosquitoes, you feed them flies, you feed them gnats and all of that. And I started kind of recognizing how much the spider protects us from. Because these are the things that he catches as his prey. I noticed that the spider keeps us from things that will annoy us. Gnats has a way of annoying you. They fly around you in ways that keep you annoyed, distracted, kind of bothered. They have a way of, biting you. They small, but they bite in the itch. They irritate you. Gnats will irritate you. And then mosquitoes will just bite you and suck the blood out of you.
Yes, sir.
The spider protects you from leeches like mosquitoes who bite you, launch and sticks on you, draw your blood out for you. The spider, not only that, he keeps you from roaches. And you know what roaches do, don't you? Roaches just have a way of just kind of crawling around you, infecting and dropping their dirty, nasty bacteria on you. You know what roaches do, right? Roaches just have a way of just kind of finding their way in your circumference, uninvited. I don't want them, but they'll show up in your circumference and they drop their little bacteria, they drop their little nastiness, and the spider catch roaches. But I discovered they don't catch roaches. The spider kill other spiders. You don't believe me, don't you? Black widow would lure in a male spider only for him to be a progenitor. After he's progenitor, then she kills him. So sometimes she even keeps you from her own kind. As I looked into the spider, I discovered that often the spider has some similarity to God. That God has a way something like being like the spider, because I discovered there's 3 ways that the spider survives in the way that the spider conquers. One, he conquers by distraction. Then he conquers by deceit. Then he conquers through dominance. Sometimes God, who's watching you and I, act more like the spider does than what we are familiar with. He sits in the background, unknown, unnoticed, unannounced, and unannounced. But yet he's protecting you and I from what we cannot see, from that which irritates us, from that which infects us, from that which sucks blood out of us and the life out of us. The spider just has a way of just having that ability of protecting you from what you don't oftentimes know that you need protection from. And all too many times many of us are celebrating the fact that we've been kept by others and ourselves, and not really knowing that it's really been the spider that have come along and protect you for what you did not see, that would have bitten you, that would have infected you, would have sucked the life out of you, would have irritated you in some kind of way. God, who doesn't always need you and I to give him praise because he has enough praise all by himself, he just wants you to be appreciative. He stays in the background and protects you from all of that.
Amen. Lord.
And I discovered he does it sometimes like the spider. Look at it in the text in terms of when you hear that it's actually what takes in chapter 23 that we start in chapter 24 reading a continuation of what took place in 23. And in 23, that it is David who's actually have had to run and find refuge from Saul, because Saul has this agenda to harm or hurt David. He pretends to like David. He pretends to love David and want David to be a part of his family. But really he wants to kill David, dominate David, and subdue David. And so he has these private kind of ideas about David. He don't like David. He really hates him.
Amen.
And I often ask the question that we ask as little kids when we growing up and we find out people doing stuff or doing something to us or want to fight us. You ever ask somebody on the playground, why you want to fight me? Never ask the bully, why you want to pick on me? You know? Why? Nobody other than me than ask like, why you just kind of pick me out? Why I look like the person you bothered? I mean, and some of us know that you've lived long enough to know that you woke up in the morning and to discover that people hate you for no reason. And people want to get rid of you for no reason. People want to subdue you for no reason. People want to destroy you for no reason. And you wake up and discover that people are antagonistic towards you, and you've never done them not one thing a day in your life. Anybody other than me? Woke up in the morning and be like, what? I look like your ex? I look like somebody that abused you or beat you. So, I mean, what is it? I mean, I always ask, David, what did you do to Saul? When Saul asked you, David, to come and play his music, you went and played his music. When Saul asked you, David, that we went down and you went to fight Saul's giant that he was scared of and the rest of the Israel was scared to fight, you fought his giant, killed his giant for him, gave him another victory. What did he do to you? He married, he let you marry his daughter, let him be part of your family. What did David ever do to you? I mean, he's the one that protected you, Saul. He fought for you. He was the captain of your army. You made him general. He had to reintroduce himself into you because you really just kept looking him over because you only used him for your moments and never ever took his significance in terms of be careful folk who only want you for their moments because that's the only thing they want you for. And here it is, David trying to figure out why Saul want to kill him. Now watch this here in the text. He runs from Saul and he runs and asks Keilah if he would watch him, would he give him shelter where he is so that he can hide from Saul. And he's actually hiding there, and Saul get word that he's there. Then Keilah hears that Saul is on his way with his men to be able to capture David, but also kill Keilah, because Keilah understands that Saul is what is considered to be a desmonic king, and that's a king that if anybody get in his way, he would eliminate, he would kill, and he would get rid of. He would not give them a second chance, and he knows that because Saul even killed the priest in terms of, because the priest gave David the showbread and fed David when he was hungry. The priest wouldn't let the anointed one go hungry when he recognized that the bread was there to give provision to those that was in that. Yeah, there you go. And because he fed David in the wilderness and in the exile, Saul killed him because of that. And Saul, who was on just, in hot pursuit of David all the time. I mean, you just wake up in the morning and you just ask yourself, why people keep hating me for no reason? What did I do to them? I mean, you honestly, you know what I mean? And here go the deception in terms of Saul. He would smile with David, shake David's hand, but privately hate David.
Say that. Yes, God.
My God.
He obviously despised David. And I kept asking myself, why is it that he despised David? And I discovered that it had to be something that David had that he did not have, that he wanted that he could not get. Somebody in here one more time, Missy said it's wrong. It had to be something that David had that he did not have, that he wanted that he could not get. And I started asking myself, what could it have been? This conversation preaching, right? They keep me on. They won't let me preach like a traditional Baptist or Pentecostal or Church of God in Christ like I really want to. So I got to have conversation. So watch this. So we raised the question in terms of, what is it that David had? It wasn't money because he didn't have any. Wasn't a palace because he didn't have a palace.
Yes.
Wasn't power because he hadn't came to power yet. What is it that David had that Saul didn't have that he could not get? And he kept on looking around in terms of asking the question, what is it that you have, David, that makes Saul so irritated to where he want to kill you, David, even though you've done nothing to him but served him and been a blessing to him? Hallelujah. Don't you want to look in the text? Because it's not money, not power.
Yeah.
You know, they ain't tall and good look, because Saul was tall and handsome.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible says about him.
That's right.
So what was it? It wasn't looks, it wasn't money. It wasn't the fact that David didn't have no palace. He was in exile running on out. And the money he had, you had already shut it down, taken it away from him and sent him off running to where he didn't have anything. Men showed up to him, about 300 some men showed up to him, broke, disgusted, and in bad shape in the cave of Adullam, Saul, and that's where you ran him to. He was in the cave existing with broke men. And yet you still not satisfied the fact that you've done that. Some people ain't satisfied till they kill. You being poor ain't enough. Them taking from you, scheming against you, undermining you, and trying to keep you small ain't enough. They ain't satisfied until you no longer exist, because there's something in you that you possess that irritates them that they don't have, and they can't get, and their money can't acquire, and their good looks won't get it to them. Listen here, and their power ain't got the ability to get it. And the only thing that we come up with, Cal, is that the fact that David is anointed,
yes, sir,
and Saul is not. David has the presence of God, and Saul doesn't. God's presence left him when he decided to do what he want, when he want, how he want, as much as he want, and never be repentant of it before God. When you look at both of these men, like it ain't that David didn't sin. David sinned. Oftentimes worse than Saul. But David repented. And David knew how to ask for forgiveness. And David knew how to go before God and ask him to wash him with hyssop. But I never find Saul asking God to wash him. I never see Saul asking God to give him another chance. He always just stronghold in his own mind and always looking at somebody else's life, talking about they do it so right, and he never does it. But David says it's me and me alone, God. Because David understands it's not about the next person, it's about who I am and what I've done. It's not their sin, God, it's my sin.
Yes, Father. Amen. Yes, Lord.
And here it is. If I'm still having conversation, I got to check with the millennials. This still considered conversation. If I get too high, tell me, tone it down. It's coming to be preaching. Old people arguing. Listen, so here it is that David, Cal, smile at that. Look at him. You know what they say about a cat. They open just they are when they. So I'm trying to keep that conversation. So watch this here. So David is in Gedi, and he runs out of Keilah place because he asked God, he says, he's going to turn me over. That's why you and I as believers ought to stay connected to God and keep prayer and keep a strong prayer life. Because God can tell you what other people don't know. And God can see coming what other people can't see coming. That you and I ought to inquire of the Lord more than we inquire of anyone. And I know there are those who have bombarded during this season in terms of, everything CNN that said, everything Fox News that said, everything ABC, NBC, CBN, ABC, CBN, and CC, and ADD, and PDD, and CDD, and all of them say. But I'm asking you that in the midst of all of this, have you sat down and asked God what he's saying?
That's right. Amen.
Because God can protect you from the enemy that's coming towards you. God can see the virus every place that it is. And he can protect you from what he sees. He can inform